Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the KongaCast, where we discuss all things video games, especially relating to Nintendo. I'm your host, Adonis, and I'm joined with my co-host, Ryan, as usual. Say hello, Ryan.
Hello, Adonis. How we doing? The Switch 2 is here. It's
Boom.
been forever, but the dude is finally released. How we feeling?
Um, the crowd goes mild. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I saw an opportunity and I took it. Um, well, luckily, the two of us together have actually had an opportunity to use one. Our good friend was moving, which you and I helped him do. You did a little more work than I, though. You got there way, way earlier. I felt really bad about that, actually. Um, but he was nice enough to let us play some games and check out the Switch too. And I
Yeah,
gotta
dude.
say, well, let's start with our actual news, and then we can kind of talk about what we thought of it and our own kind of like opinions and stuff like that. Unless you want to talk about how you feel, of course. What do you think?
Well, I'm okay. I'm okay just getting right into the general reaction, the what's been going on, how everyone's reacting to it, what people have been playing, what they've been saying. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, Nintendo Switch 2 is here as of recording. It's been out for a little over, or as of this recording, about 5 or 6 days.
Yeah.
By the time you're listening, it'll be 1 week. But yeah, man, I mean, Mario Kart World is the game to get at launch for sure. It's currently sitting at an 87 on Metacritic, Metascore. I don't think that's too far from what I was expecting. Maybe a little low for some other people, but that's kind of in line for what I was expecting. And I feel like other like notable games at launch are Yakuza Zero, Cyberpunk 2077, Fast Fusion, which is more of a budget game, which is cool that a budget game is doing so well and it's available at launch here. But anyway, yeah, it seems like the reception is mostly positive from people that are playing it themselves, have their hands on it. I feel like maybe there's some people on the internet that are just mad that it's still as expensive as it is and are mad that people are buying it, but that's just a whole can of worms right there. And it is selling like crazy. 3.5 million units moved in 4 days.
Oh my God. And if I remember correctly, that triples the original record in 3 days, or 1 day, or even honestly, probably more than that.
Yeah, I think in terms of Nintendo, yeah, the Switch One sold about 2.7 in 3 weeks, is what I was reading. So the fact that the Switch Two has sold 3.5 in 4 days, pretty bonkers. I don't know about you. I've seen a lot of stores selling out for sure, but it doesn't feel like it's completely unobtainable, right? There are some stores where you can still get it in person here and there, of course, depending on your location.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think that's a good thing. I mean, it's kind of hurting scalpers who are trying to be opportunistic about it. To me, it seems like Nintendo has definitely made a lot of stock and has a lot of stock in the U.S. ready for the pent up demand that they seem to be meeting so far.
Yeah, and a lot of my friends outside of our friend group like are getting their hands on them pretty easily. Nobody that I know has struggled to get one, except for people who tried to pre-order. People were pressing the button and it just didn't work when trying to pre-order. And that's kind of impressive. Like I'm actually really impressed at how available the Switch 2 has been. After having struggled to get a PS5 back in the day, my dad was nice enough to get one for me for Christmas. But that took months. That literally took months for me to get my hands on that. And well, I'll talk about this later. That's a side thought. But I'm impressed at the availability of the console. It doesn't seem like there's any really, you know, world-breaking errors or bugs with the system that I've seen anyway. So it seems as though it's been a solid release. The games that are on the console work. That's a win nowadays. So that's honestly like it's been a very solid release. 3 million copies sold is just insane, absolute insanity. But
Yeah,
it
from a
also is a very different
commercial.
market. So
Absolutely, yeah. From a commercial standpoint, it's definitely a successful first couple of days. Uh, you know, That being said, though, like first couple days, it could be as nice as possible, but like Nintendo would still have to keep up momentum. to make sure they hit their 15 million mark for the rest of the year. But I mean, they are on track at this record. On the consumer side, though, there's certainly a lot of positivity. Like I said, I feel like a lot of the negative sentiment that was surrounding some of the release was overblown. And I think we're kind of seeing that now where people, at the end of the day, there's a lot of pent up demand for an upgraded Switch, effectively, is what this is with some new software, all that good stuff. And so we're seeing that play out. A lot of that pent up demand is being shown. People picking up the console, picking up Mario Kart, having a good time with it. For some of the features that have been promised, game share appears to be better than what I was expecting. It seems to be like pretty high quality, and the noise suppression technology that was being advertised, it was really one of those things I was like, I really have to like see how it is, to see how good it is, to see if it's like actually viable. It actually appears to be very well done. I mean, the NVIDIA chip on the Switch 2 seems to be doing a lot of good work with the background noise suppression. You could genuinely use the Switch 2 sitting next to your TV as a microphone when you're talking to your friends, which is super cool. I've seen that like technology be attempted before and just fall on its face, and then it's just useless. If there's a bunch of TV noise going through your mic or whatever, that does not seem to be the case with game chat. Game share seems to be like a feature that's pretty viable. Of course, you as the recipient of game share, it's basically a stream to your Switch 2. So you might not have the best quality if you have bad connection, but you can play games like the new Fast RMX game on your Switch 1 through game share, which is super cool because the tech is basically handled on the Switch 2 side and streamed to the Switch 1 client.
That's pretty impressive, especially for two handhelds communicating with each other. If it was like a normal desktop or console streaming, like I would be less impressed. But that's wow. I'm very impressed. I didn't know much about the software at all. We didn't get to test. Maybe you did, but I didn't get to test the online functionality or the microphone or game sharing or anything. But if that's what's the current sentiment, that is also impressive. I mean, we're talking about Nintendo, so the standards are very high, but they almost always meet them. So honestly, not too surprised, but I am in fact impressed. I understand why there was a price hike in the console, like outside of what the expectations were, like going up to $500, because this machine is powerful. It's quite good. Probably top of the line in terms of handheld consoles at the moment. Who knows how it benchmarks against everything else at the moment? I'm sure we'll know sooner rather than later. So yeah, this is impressive. But, and I want to talk about kind of how we're kind of feeling about the Switch. And I'll go first because I have a bit of an interesting thoughts about the whole Switch 2 thing right now. I don't see anything that's really selling me on this console right now. Like, I got a couple remakes, remasters, not even remasters. They're like re updates of Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, which I really do want to play, but like not enough to sell me for freaking $500, well $600 if I want the game, and included with the console. Honestly, I just don't see anything that's gonna make me pay this much money. But although so, and I'll talk about a little bit about we did also play Mario Kart World, which was really fun, but it's still just Mario Kart. And that is not an $80 game to me.
Yeah,
So,
I totally get the sentiment, and honestly, I go back and forth on it because I don't have one yet. I'm going to get one in the next like week or
yeah.
two, but I'm not like dying inside because I don't have it right now because I totally see the sentiment, Adonis. At launch we have Mario Kart World, which is what people are buying the console for, effectively, and then you have a lot of great ports, remasters, definitive editions, those kinds of things. And all of these are great games. Like I said, Yakuza, Cyberpunk. There's a lot of like interesting stuff to play on release. But you effectively have one really strong first party game. And then you have Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which is a throwaway piece of software, it appears. Sorry, all the Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour fans. We'll probably touch on that in a
All
bit.
five of you.
But I totally see the sentiment, Adonis, and I think it's by design. Uh, I was thinking about this because if you are Nintendo and you have Donkey Kong Bonanza coming out in July, you have the update to Super Mario Party Jamboree also coming out in July. You have an update to Kirby and the Forgotten Land coming out in August. Those could be at release. You know, like they don't those games like don't really need another month to bake in the oven. But it is by design in my eyes. Nintendo knows that there's been a lot of pent up demand just for the new tech. Like people want new tech. Switch owners, Nintendo fans want new tech in their hands. The hardcore have been dying waiting for an upgraded Switch effectively, right? So that's what this is for. And you get Mario Kart at launch, a very social game where you can show this to your friends. You can say, this is my cool new device. And a non Nintendo hardcore guy can look at it and just understand, right? They can look at Mario Kart World playing on a tabletop mode Switch 2, something like that, and say, okay, I get it. That looks really cool. I think it's a lesser effect than 8 Deluxe on Switch. Like 8 Deluxe on Switch was like, wow, a Mario Kart game like this on the go is insane. That sentiment carries over to the Switch too, in my eyes, but not as effectively. But you're still going to follow the Switch model, right? The Switch 1 released in March. By Christmas, we had a slew of other software because at launch, you really only had Breath of the Wild, Snipper Clips, which is a smaller budget game, and maybe one other, 1-2 Switch, whatever. But Switch 2, by the end of this year, I expect to have Donkey Kong Bonanza. You're going to have that Zelda spin-off game that's been teased. And Metroid Prime 4 is also slated for this year. And not to mention Pokemon. And I really think there's got to be something else to fill the November slot. So I think it's definitely by design, Adonis, to just get the feelers out. It's almost like a softer kind of launch that Nintendo's a fan of nowadays, not putting the hardware on Christmas time where it's like more of a necessitary need that they hit really hard on Christmas time, but rather release it in the spring, release it in the summer, and build up to a really strong holiday season.
Yeah, and that's coming sooner rather than later. Time ain't stopping for nobody. So I think you're right. They're really going to ramp it up and drop some big hitters, especially come the holiday. We already know about most of the big hitters, but I think the real reason why I don't feel the need or even want to get one is one, like I mentioned, because of like not being sold by any of the games or features yet. But to me, an $80 game is a game like Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
There are no games like Baldur's Gate on this system, and therefore I do not want to buy any of them. Like that experience, they don't really follow, they don't understand the price hike in video games. Like when you go, they do it because they say, oh, we put more time and more effort and more love into this game, so yeah, we're gonna start charging $80. If that doesn't reflect in time played in terms of content and enjoyment, they got the enjoyment. Who know? I don't think they have the content for an $80 price tag. Like that, I think they totally misunderstood. Like the way to do a price hike is to offer longer experiences with their game. I am not going to spend $80 on something I will be playing for 10 hours.
I totally get that. And with Mario Kart, like I don't really necessarily agree if it's a $80 game or not. I don't think it is. Now, it'd be nice if they were a little more upfront to say, hey, yeah, it's an $80 game, but we're going to give this free updates throughout the entirety of its life.
Yes.
I've seen that thought go around. That would certainly be nice to have that reassurance kind of going in that, okay, you can kind of argue, sure, it was probably going to be $70, but another 10 on top, and they're going to update it throughout the next 5 years, sure. But that's not there, so that's not guaranteed. I'm totally not going to apologize for $80 games. I think it's pretty gross. It's just Nintendo kind of knowing they can get away with it. I think they probably also had some insight that Xbox and Sony were kind of on the way to doing that as well. As we know, Xbox is hiking first-party games up to $80 this holiday season. So it's inevitable. It sucks. I hate it. Nintendo just happens to be the first one to do it in my eyes. Like, I don't trust any of these companies to ever do like the most consumer-friendly thing in the world because at the end of the day, They are a company. They're publicly traded. They are for profit. That's just how it goes. And it sucks. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to apologize for $80 games.
Yeah, no, I don't expect you to. I think it's okay to want the game too, and the game, the console, and the games. That is totally okay. Like I am not trying to trash you for thinking that way. A lot of other people on the internet will, but not us. It is okay to feel how you feel. Just use your money how you want to, as long as nobody's
Yeah.
getting
What do
hurt.
you think about the sentiment going around of people? There are some people. I feel like this is very just vocal minority, but it is interesting to talk about. What do you think about the vocal minority kind of coming out and saying, "How dare you like buy a Switch 2 or buy the games?" Almost as if you're like crossing a picket line or something. How does that
That's
sit with
just
you?
to me. That's just clout chasing, grandstanding, soapbox
Hmm.
standing. Like it's just people. It's not necessarily even what people think. It's just that they see other people doing it on social media, and it gets the dopamine button. Like people press the button and do the thing, do the like, as the kids say. Um, and I think that's really why it's such a loud minority. I don't think it's even like people who either. Honestly, I think it's people who do have the Switch that are doing it. Like it's just people who are like, they're guilty and they want to try and fight the man. Stick it to the man. Uh, I don't think there's any reason to be doing things like that. It's so annoying to see people, get up on a soapbox and tell other people what to do. Never tell people what to do. Tell them how you think about the thing that they want to do, and say, "Hey, you either do it or not. That's not my decision. You do you, king, queen."
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. This is America. Do what you want. That's how I see it.
Hell
Like, I'm
yeah.
not gonna diss anyone for wanting an expensive product. I'm not gonna diss anyone for not wanting an expensive product or whatever. So, from what I played Adonis with you this weekend, though, I do feel like Mario Kart World is a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to
Oh yeah.
picking it up at some point in the next week or two. Like I said, I'm still kind of on the hunt for a console. I have weirdly a growing Switch 2 collection. I've bought two controllers now, and I've bought
Maniac.
Cyberpunk physically, but I don't have a console and I don't have any other games. So I'm basically like stockpiling for when I can find a Switch 2 in stock at GameStop. I'm specifically trying to buy from GameStop so I can get the points on my account because I don't really have a Best Buy account or anything
Smart
else.
man.
So I'm trying to be a little patient. I'm also trying to not stress out completely. Like, oh my gosh, I need to play this right now. The FOMO's not like overtaking me. But when I get my hands on Mario Kart World, I already know I'm gonna enjoy it. I enjoyed the couple of races we played this weekend, and we didn't even touch on like Knockout Tour or the free roam mode. Apparently, Knockout Tour is like the mode for the game. Like, I don't think people are expecting it to be as fun as it is, but every review I've seen, every discourse online I've seen is like, man, Knockout Tour is super cool.
And it's got to be super cool with friends couch co-op, man. That's got to be
Yeah.
so much fun. And it's not as long as like a. I mean, I don't really know from what I've seen is that it's not as long as like a normal tour, a normal Grand Prix. So it's like a pick up and play game mode, which is
Hmm.
awesome. I love stuff like that for playing couch co-op. So yeah, you're totally right, and that's probably, the coolest thing that I've seen about Mario Kart up to this point is the Knockout Tour. But we didn't play it. I'm surprised we didn't too. I totally forgot about it. So yeah, I'm honestly that is something that does catch my eye, obviously. Um, but the thing I don't know what it was about the game. It seemed as though there were some systems that I really liked that were stripped away. Um, but also I should, you know what? No, that isn't really true because I'm judging it off of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe after full 10-year support plus DLC. So those systems came in with DLC. So I guess I shouldn't be too harsh on Mario Kart. I am sorry, Mr. Mario Kart. I
You made it
think,
cry. Look what happened. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah. But we did have a lot of fun. It was chaos with 24 racers.
Yeah, dude. Ah, man. I can't wait to get my hands on it a little bit later this week. Like I said, hopefully, maybe next week. Uh, but yeah, dude, I'm pretty impressed by the Switch 2 launch. I think it's above X. I don't know if it's above expectation, but they are on track for a very high expectation again of 15 mil units projected for this year, which some analysts are saying is a conservative estimate. I mean, I saw one analyst from NBC stating they could project up to 20 million units moved by Nintendo. It's really up to Nintendo and how much demand they can meet. So,
Yeah, it's
but
gonna
yeah,
count. It's gonna come down to supply. That's it.
yeah, dude. I think that's all I could say about the Switch 2 and its release. So, what else is going on, Adonis? What do we have on the docket for today?
Well, what else happened, Ryan? That's a great question. Summer Games Fest happened, and I will say there was some cool revelations. One of which I will just come straight out. Resident Evil 9 is confirmed. Resident Evil has been a really great series. Maybe not so much in the middle, but when it got revamped at what was it Resident Evil 7, Biohazard, I think it was called. I really like the
Yeah,
direction. The Although a bit silly with these newer games. And Resident Evil 9 seems interesting. Seems really, really interesting. Um, and we got a few other things. I'm curious which other games stuck out to you.
I was really, yeah, I would say like Resident Evil 9 stuck out to me as well. I think that was probably the biggest hitter of the whole presentation. I
Oh,
mean, we saw like other big hitters like the Kojima game that's escaping me right now, but we've already seen that one. So Resident Evil 9 as a initial reveal and the title being Resident Evil Requiem is interesting. They're going away from the number format, which is like, been a staple for the franchise forever. But I think they basically confirmed, no, this is Resident Evil 9. We're just not calling it 9. It's Resident Evil Requiem. So that stuck out to me. Also, Sonic Racing Crossroads. So this is a game also not necessarily revealed at Summer Games Fest, but we got a new trailer. We got confirmation of like a bunch of guest characters, including Steve from Minecraft. Whoa. And the game looks pretty cool. I heard a lot of good things from the last Sonic Racing game, and it felt like the popularity of that game and like kind of the good sentiments of that game kind of grew over time. I feel like nowadays I hear how good it is compared to when it launched, which was 4 or 5 years ago, whatever that was. Uh, so yeah, those two caught my eye. Adonis, I don't know if you saw the trailer for a game called Ill, but it looked freaky. Looked right up your alley. This like survival horror esque, bodily, grotesque monster things that you have to shoot. Uh, it looked really gross, but in the best way. It looked pretty interesting.
it sure did, Ryan. It's exactly what I was going to be like. There's also a game that may or may not have crossed my mind, and ill is it. Ooh, man, that was a great trailer. Gameplay included. There was gameplay in the
Hmm.
trailer, which I love. Love to see that. Very confident in their product, and I think they should be. This looks beautiful. It looks fun to play. Reminds me of Dead Space. You already had me sold. Like, that's it.
Yep.
I'm buying the game. This looked really, really cool. And I think this is something that has, you know, this realm of games, this genre has been very quiet lately. No longer, my friend. Also, with you could technically say Resident Evil 9's in the same boat. So good day for horror game enjoyers like myself.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Those were the two that really jumped out to me, and the Sonic game. Sonic is not a survival horror game, though. That's a little different.
No, it's
So,
not.
uh, but yeah, everything else it was like sequels or DLC confirmation. I saw the Liza P DLC. I know that was exciting for some Souls fans, that kind of stuff. But I didn't think it was like a crazy, crazy show. I do get the sentiment that like Summer Games Fest is like a little bloated nowadays. It was a show that was basically like 2 hours of trailers, which like it'd be nice if it was maybe 1 hour and it was just the good stuff. I wouldn't mind cutting it back a little bit, but Jeff Keighley, he likes to go all out and kind of really hype it up. So I understand he wants to kind of make it a 2 hour thing, maybe do more in terms instead of less cutting it back. I get it, and there's also like a lot of good stuff that was shown. So, but that's kind of where I stand with it. Really like the three games that really caught my eye.
Yeah, I think that's this. I'm in the same boat. But one thing that I really did like, our good friend Giga Chad Jeff Keighley. As you said, he likes to ball out and show out all kinds of games, AAA, indie, but specifically this time he made a special emphasis on indie games. He literally broke down how well some indie games are stacking up to AAA 100 to 1,000 developer games. He literally put a graphic on the screen during the stream, and was talking about how one person can make a game. If you have a dream, make a dream game, make that game. It may just change your life. And some other people did not take too kindly to that. And of course, it's the people that are in these AAA, giant studio games, all freaking out on Twitter saying that this makes them uncomfortable. Who the hell cares? Who cares? Who says that? Like, no one's gonna listen to you. Like, it's not even directed criticism, and even if it was, it's okay to be criticized. And like, you really got to go and complain about that on Twitter. I'm sorry, I just had to talk about that. Uh,
No, I think it's a good point.
yeah, it
And
is a good point.
thank you. Yeah, no, thank you to you. I mean, but I
Thank
think it's
you.
a good
No,
point
thank you.
because there's been a lot of good indie games that have released this year. Schedule One is like one of the biggest games of the year so far.
Repo as
I mean,
well.
this happens every year. Balantra last year was a Game of the Year nominee. Like indie games are like a force to be reckoned with, and in a lot of ways better than AAA because you get a lot of experiences that are unique. And when you have a smaller team, you have a more cohesive vision in a lot of ways. So yeah, I mean, you know me, I love indie games, so I'm glad Jeff's like shouting them out in that way. In a diss to AAA is probably surprising because AAA's probably keep the lights on for him, and probably deal out most of the sponsorships and stuff like that. So interesting to see that like being as a diss to AAA. But shout out to Jeff Keighley, I liked it.
Yeah, yeah. Shout out, man. I love that guy. But if I'm a AAA developer, me being me, or a AAA studio, I'd want to keep doing that because Jeff is the best relationship that you can have with the community. That guy knows what he knows. He's one of us, as far as I know. Who knows? Could be wrong, but um, like I really love what Jeff does for not just the big guys, but the small guys too. Like for everybody, it's not just one or the other. It's he. If you got a good game, he will show it off. And I know it's not just him. There's a whole giant group of people that put these events together, and
Hmm.
it's not just Jeff, but I really like. I've been enjoying watching these events lately too. Like honestly, I really enjoy seeing all these creative game ideas. I really am sick of trailer music though. Oh my God, I wish we would choose anything but a giant like drum orchestra for every single trailer. For the love of God, change trailer music. That's beside the point. Um, so I really love Jeff, and that's even more of a reason to love Jeff was him covering how good indie development has been lately, and where it is going is awesome,
Yeah,
freaking awesome.
absolutely, dude. So I think that's really all I had on Summer Games Fest. So unless you had something else, should we move on to our next topic, my guy?
No, I got nothing else. But boy, am I excited to talk about our next topic, which is something that's not going to be very long. I wanted to, but I definitely wanted to cover this. So, a game came out recently, and it's an interesting game. It's like a narrative driven kind of. It's it was marketed as something similar in the vein of like GTA, Grand Theft Auto. Um, and it's pretty bad. It might be the worst game of 2025. Why, you may ask, Ryan? Are you asking me? Why is it so bad?
Why is it so bad? Also, what is the name of the game?
Mind's Eye. Did I not say that?
Maybe I
Maybe I
missed
forgot
it,
to say
but
that. It's called Mind's Eye. And well, why, you ask? That's a great question, Ryan. Well, the facial animations just randomly get tuned up to like 200%, and they just do this crazy eldritch looking face at you, and it's very unnerving. I kind of like it though. It looks kind of cool. Uh, Game breaking bugs, crashing on PC, which, of course is going to crash on PC, but also on console repeatedly. You never see a game crash on console nowadays. Well, I mean, I've definitely seen a game crash in Monster Hunter Wilds, but not repeatedly. That was only one time. This is really bad. The game itself is just undercooked, it seems. Not great. A lot of boring, repetitive gameplay, dialogue that seems it was generated by a large language model. Um, just not a great game overall, but especially not a finished game. It is very buggy, so
Mm.
buggy that they literally canceled paid Twitch marketing while the streamers were marketing. Like they literally canceled ad campaigns while they were going on Twitch because it was so bad. What do you think?
Yeah, dude, I think we have our front runner for worst game of the year so far. I mean, it's a vaulted position, but man, I mean, my reaction to Mind's Eye on release here, it just looks unfinished. Like I don't even know why you would release it in this state unless it's really just like time to um, try to recoup some sort of costs that went into this game, which apparently it was like a little bit of a big budget for this game. So we might have a little bit of a stinker in terms of loss here. But yeah, Mind's Eye to me, it just looks unfinished. Like, I mean, there's bugs all over the place. There's clearly like not enough to do in the world. The cinematics look really nice. I'll give them that. Like the cinematics, um, as you're playing through the game, are great, but it seems unfinished in some ways. But then in other ways, the design of the game, a lot of the missions are just really boring. Where a lot of the missions are just like either following an NPC around, waiting for their dialogue to run out, and that's the mission. Like that's not fun. There isn't a lot of features in an open world game. You can't like hijack cars in this game. You can't go into stores, anything like that. There's really not too much to do in a big open world, which I feel like is like a big critique of open world games a lot of times. But in this case, no, there really isn't too much to do at all. So the one saving grace, Adonis, is the glitches are funny. Okay. A lot of times, like you were saying, you get like the melting faces because they're just like not oriented correctly. You get random bugs and stuff like that that are just funny. But the game, like just constantly crashing or not being able to launch, is not a fun glitch. That's just frustrating and stupid. So there's a little bit of a mixed bag in terms of how fun it is because sometimes some things are so bad it's actually fun. Uh, but I don't think there's too much of a debate that this game is just bad.
Yeah, and there's a lot of missed opportunities here, but I definitely think that it's really really bad, but I don't think it's unsalvageable. I think they just need to fix things immediately, which tells me that we're probably going to end up getting a worse game than this. This is pretty tame for bad game releases from what we've seen anyway. Game Mill is still out there. They can still take the title again. Hey, do it. Honestly, I would love to see them get clowned on for like the 100th time. So yeah, this is maybe somewhat salvageable. And it's honestly the perfect time for a game like this to be coming out because it's like pseudo GTA esque, even though I don't know if that's even true. That's just what I've heard. Um, it's a good time for a game like that because people are waiting for GTA 6 and they're going to be waiting a whole long time. So this could fill a need in the market, but not if it ain't working.
Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't see like a whole lot of hype around this. I felt like this was a little bit under the rug, a little under the radar. It wasn't too much marketing. I think maybe like the developers and publishers knew it was going to be a little stinky, so they just put it out there to try to recoup some of the costs. But then when you look a little deeper, this is a game that was, lead developer by Leslie Benzies, who is best known for being the lead designer, lead program designer on like the original Grand Theft Autos, like not the original, but Grand Theft Auto 3 through 5. Like huge, awesome open world games. But it just has not come together for him this time with his new studio. I think this is their first game they put out too, so
Yeah.
not too great of a debut for a new studio.
No, a shame, but get good. Make better games. They could
Yeah,
learn a thing or two from software games. Just get good.
just get good.
Anyone else? Yeah.
It's that easy. So
It's that easy.
yeah, quite the stinker of the year so far. But I think that's all I had to say. Do you want to move into what we've been playing recently?
Yes. Yes, indeed. My favorite part of the show. You want to go first?
Yeah, man. So, like I said, Mario Kart World a little bit this weekend. And the only things I'll add on to what I've already said is I think looking back, I do wish we went for one of the newer modes and tried that out. We only had about like 30 minutes or so to play,
Yeah.
but it's very natural to just jump into Grand Prix and be the first thing you try. So I totally get it. And Grand Prix was fun. Don't get me wrong. It's different because now you have all the in between each race. It's not 3 laps, move on, 3 laps, move on. It's 3 laps, drive to the next race, and then do 1 lap on the next track. So just different. And I want to play more because I want to like I don't feel like I have an opinion on it yet because we really just did the one cup, which I won by the way. So pretty awesome. The only other game I've played this week is Donkey Kong Land 2. So this was a game on the Game Boy that I had on my backlog. And it is not Donkey Kong December, but I just felt like playing some Donkey Kong. I also had a business trip last Thursday where I was traveling by train. So I had about 3 hours each way to kill. And so I played most of the game and then I completed it later that week. And it's a fun game. If you've ever played any of the Donkey Kong lands on Game Boy, they're a good time. They don't really hold a candle to the SNES Donkey Kong Country games, but they are fun if you are a Donkey Kong fan.
Yeah, I forgive you for playing a Donkey Kong game outside of Donkey Kong December. I understand. We've all done it, but just to make sure it doesn't happen again, okay? Um,
Okay.
so yeah, some solid games right there. I wanted to touch on Mario Kart. Man, I really love the new chaos. I think we've played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for so long that the chaos is kind of lost. We expect everything. Now it's a lot more chaotic and fun. You need those novel experiences to have fun in a played out genre. And I think
Mm.
they nailed that. And we haven't even scratched the surface, really. So we have other game modes we never even experienced. So I really do think that once I get my hands maybe a little bit longer for some free Mario Kart time, see if I actually want it. Um, you may be able to help me out with that, my friend.
I think I'd
Um,
be able to. Don't worry.
all right, sweet. You rock. And then, Donkey Kong, yeah, although it doesn't uh, compete with the old guard, I think that's probably been a really good time.
Hmm.
And so for me, what I've been playing, I did some game soul searching. I was like, what games do I really like to play? Because I play a lot of different games, right? I play MMOs, I played single player RPGs, first person shooters, looter shooters, the PvE, PvP. I played it all. Like everything. I played roguelikes, Souls likes, a lot of likes. Um, and I was like, what do I really enjoy playing? Well, for me, I live a very happy life because I am a health professional. Like I'm always, happy. Other people are always happy because everybody's always happy when they're exercising, which you should go exercise too, by the way, dear listener, and you, Ryan. Um, and like, everything's all happy go lucky. Everybody's nice to each other. My family is also very nice and simple. Everything is simple, right? Well, sometimes I just want to let loose. Sometimes I just want to just turn it on and go
All right.
ballistic. Go
All right.
postal. Now, what
Okay.
games does that remind you of? Well, you would probably say Doom, right?
A short hike.
Uh, man, you stun locked me. Uh, yeah, no, but yeah,
Okay.
Doom comes to mind, right? Which
Yeah.
is,
First
a
thing I thought of.
PvE, like just mow them down, rip and tear, stand and fight, you know? And I really think those are the games that I enjoy the most, especially because of, well, I guess not with Doom, but another game that comes to mind is something like Space Marine 2, where you can just absolutely go berserk as a giant walking tank. I love that feeling. But what I also love is when you're able to help someone else while doing so, like protect your friends, protect the city, save the baby, save the woman, get the pretty girl. I love that feeling as well. So I have only, well, not only, I played a lot of games. I played Helldivers 2, Space Marine 2, Doom the Dark Ages. Like I've been playing all kinds of games like that, and because I finally really like got a nail on what I like the most. I don't There's a lot of things that I don't like about some games I was playing, and I was like, why am I playing them then? Like I should only be playing
Yeah.
games that I want to play. That's the sign of an addiction, isn't it? Yeah. Oh well. That's a problem for later me. But yeah, I've been having a blast like really thinking about what games I like the most. And the one I've been playing the most actually is Space Marine 2. I've been playing that one a lot. Warhammer is just a really cool series, and there's a new siege mode being added, which is like an infinite horde of enemies. You just go for as long as you can, is being tested on the public test server at this very moment. So I'm getting ready for that, and I've just been having an absolute blast. For any Warhammer enjoyers out there, I have my guy painted like a Carcharodon or a space shark. Very spooky shark boy. And I've been having an absolute blast. A lot of fun
Dude.
games.
Heck yeah, dude. You just listed a bunch of bro games, which is awesome. Sometimes you just
You're
gotta
so
bro out.
right.
That's awesome. Glad you're having fun, kind of tackling some of your favorites, or at least like some of your favorite genres, that kind of thing. So awesome. Yeah, I just really
Yeah.
had the two other games. So anything else for you?
I'll expect more from you next week.
Okay, sir.
But no, I think that's about it. I think that's going to do it for this edition of the KongaCast. Thank you for everyone for joining in, tuning into this episode. If you would like what you heard, make sure to rate 5 stars on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and follow the show to hear more. Stay up to date on the show. Make sure to follow us Twitter at KongaCast. For all business inquiries, please email kongacast@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.